Hey everybody, I'm Glenn, and this is Fun King 3D. And in this installment of the Prusa i3 Mark 2s, it's a lot of words, it's a mouthful. This is step 4, which is the Z-axis assembly. So stay tuned. All right, so we're going to put the Z-axis together. And when I say we, it's really just me. Xander's not here with me for this part. He had a prior arrangement, prior agreement to be with. So we're going to go ahead and we got some parts here. As with the last installment, where we skipped going to the manual on every step, we're gonna try the same thing here. It seemed to have gone a lot quicker, and I think overall it worked a lot smoother. So we're gonna do the same thing. You can follow along in the manual if you're not sure where the manual is online. Actually, if you just do a quick Google search for Prusa build manual, oh, look at the chunks hanging off of that thing. I could have cleaned it up before they sent it. Yeah, if you do a quick Google search for Prusa assembly manual, you'll find it. Otherwise, if you go back to our last video, in the very beginning, I showed you where it was. I don't want to be too repetitious and keep going back and showing you guys the same stuff over and over again. For those of you who are following along, I don't want to bore you. For those of you who are not yet subscribed, what's stopping you? Really, just no, honestly, if you want to see the videos that we're coming out with and you want to be notified of releases, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the little bell, and it'll give you notifications when the new videos come out. All right, so I got a belt, and a bag of screws, which I am going to. This is the part I miss about having Xander. Xander is the sort and get the screw guy. So we're just going to slide those out of the way. I don't know if this view or this view is better. We'll try them both. We'll see which one works out a little bit better. It says this step is 1 hour. It's 27 steps. Requires the wrenches, the Allen keys, the pliers, and the screwdriver. It requires 4 3D printed parts, plus these 2 little caps. It says to use the hole for 8mm smooth rod as the orientation in the next steps, because these, looking down on them, go like this. They go like this. And the 8mm hole goes to the outside, so that's going to be that side, and that's going to be that side. I guess this camera is really good for this because you guys get to see it the same way I do. I'm looking that way, now you're looking that way. So, all right, and we need the frame. Set that down gently and not make too big of a noise, too big of a bang on the table. So these guys are going to go down here. Those attach using it says to tighten these gently, that no superhuman force is required. All right, so you want to make sure the Prusa label is visible. I was looking to see what size screws, but I don't see. Oh, all screws in this step are M3 by 10s. So it's mostly what's in this bag. Yeah, in fact, there's 10s and 12s in here, so it's pretty close. Seems like a 12 to me. I love the fact that they made the label on the bag a 1-to-1 actual size. Kind of feels like IKEA. All right, so that is 6 3x10 screws. These are threaded holes in the aluminum. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down until I have them all in place. Something to note, it says if you have a hard time getting the screws in the holes, to try to thread them in from the other side just to clean it out. And now I'm going to put a little force going this way, just a little bit, just to kind of, I don't know, center it out so that they're equal sitting on the heads of the screws. Make sure I use my superhuman force to tighten these up. No, again, they said tighten them gently. No superhuman force is necessary. The same thing on this side. We're gonna just put them in lightly for now. Anytime that you assemble anything like this, it's always best to get, you know, all the screws in for whatever part you're working on, and then go back and tighten it. Sometimes it goes beyond just the part you're working on. I once built a wagon, a yard wagon, garden wagon, and I had to literally assemble the whole thing loose, and then once it was completely together, then go back and tighten everything down. And it's been fine since. I've had it for over 10 years now, but if you try to tighten up the first couple of pieces, then you can't get anything else in there to work. So, all right, that is the end of step 3. Roll on to step 4, which is placing the Z-screw covers. So you're going to start with your Z-axis. I'm going to hop over here for just a second, show you guys. Once again, I know I'm showing this at every video, but all the motors are labeled. This is a Z-axis right, the other one's a Z-axis left. And I don't know why they put this on there and spin it down so far, but you have to take this off. And then I gotta take one of these covers here. If this is better, no, not really. But just to kind of show you guys, it's just these little guys here. These are going to go down on the rod, and they do thread on. It takes a second to get it. Well, that one did anyway. It takes a minute to get it to go on there, but and you know, however you choose to spin the shaft or the part, it's completely up to you. I like to do both. I just have the motor in this hand and I'm spinning both the shaft and the part at the same time, make it go faster. I was blessed with very, very large hands. All right, so they said run it all the way down to the motor. Don't make it too tight. You want to make sure that the motor still spins freely. Set that off to that side. I'm going to do the same for this side. Take this off. And then we're going to take this piece, work it into the thread. This one's a little bit tighter. I can't do the shaft and the piece at the same time. It's not too much resistance. All right, there's that. And again, this is the left side, the right side. Oh yeah, right side, left side. All right, that is the end of step 4. Going into step 5, we're going to place the Z motors, which are going to come up through here and slide this a little bit further up on the table so you can see a little better. Wires down, like towards the plate. There's kind of a sorry, there's kind of a little notch in the plastic for the wires to go into, so you don't pinch the wires off. Going on to step 6, which is tightening the motors down. You're going to use M3x10 screws, 8 of them, and 8 washers. So again, it's the shorter screws that are in this bag. Even though they're close in size, if you eyeball them, you can generally tell which ones are the 10s and which ones are the 12s, and there's only 4 12s in there, so if you pick those out early, they won't be in the way. I always have a hard time picking up these little washers, so I'm gonna just real quick here build the stack, put the washer on the screw. Hope that you guys are following along, building this at the same time. Maybe you're just watching to see if this video is a train wreck. I'm really excited to see how this printer does compared to my ANET A8. I know I talk about it in every video, but it's the only other printer I own at this time, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with the quality of that thing. So I'm really excited to see what this can do. All right, well, as it would have it, one of these screws built itself. Love when that happens. Sometimes, like when you open a Lego minifigure and his legs are already on or his head's already on just from it being moving around in the bag. All right, so that's the hardware for this, and then we're going to use a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. This is on so I can see. We're going to come in. All right, so here's a spot where the T-handle wrenches don't work so good because I hit the lead screw. If you go in to buy a set of these at Harbor Freight, if you're in the US, they do also have another set that has the ball ends, which may not be a bad idea. I didn't know that when I bought this. It comes with the standard and the metric both in one set. It was more expensive for that set than these two individually. I didn't realize that they were ball end. All right, I'm going to crisscross on these. Do one in the front, one in the back. I think the set comes with a ball end, and it might even be for this size. Yes, it is. But I'm not sure it'll be faster than what I'm already doing because I can spin those T-handled ones pretty quickly. Yeah, that's not so bad. I can give you guys a better view. course, I'm probably about to put my hands right in front of the camera. Face out of there. Yeah, so I'm just spinning it in. Yeah, I can see that's ball end on the end of that. Allows you to go at a little bit of an angle. That one went in a little tight. Backed it up and ran it back in a couple of times, but it's tight each time, but it seems to be okay. I'm just going to tighten it up in a crisscross pattern. I don't know if that's necessary, but it's an automotive thing. And let's take you back to the overhead. Xander's actually graduating from Webelos 1 to Webelos 2 in the Scouts tonight. Pretty exciting. I like to give you guys little tidbits about my life. Okay, there we go. Crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. All right, so that is the end of step 6, which is tighten the Z motor. And we're going to 7, placing trapezoid motor nut. All right, so for this, we need more table space. We need our x-axis, which we built prior to this. I'm going to set this off to the side for this moment. We're going to bring this up. Insert M3 nuts, 4 pieces, in the printed port as shown. Okay. So, comes with these little tiny M3 nuts. I'm going to grab with my super long needle nose because you got to get them. Get them down in there. You see where that is? There. Down into that slot there. And then the other one, goes there. Then this guy, which is weird because it's plastic. I mean, I realize that most of this printer is plastic, but, and then these are probably the M12s. Yeah. So I'm kind of doing two steps at once, but one step tells you to put those nuts in, and then step 8 then tells you to put the screws in, but you'd have no way to hold those nuts for one side while you're working on the other side. So I'm kind of combining step 7 and 8 together here. Look in your manual, you'll see what I'm saying. Now, I don't know if they make mention of it, but I'm going to tell you right now that these do not have to be crazy tight. You don't want them to come out. But if you make them too tight, you will warp something and you will get binding. You will get binding on your Z-axis. And I only know that because I did it on my on my A8. When I got that thing, they were really loose, and I thought, well, that isn't right, and I kind of tweaked them down a little bit, and I don't know if it was a bad mold or if it was what I did, but so, you know, give it a little tightening so that it doesn't let go, but don't crank on it so much that you warp anything. Okay, and then we're gonna go into this side. I changed this front camera configuration a little bit, so I don't know if you've watched some of our old videos or older videos. We haven't been around long enough to have old videos, but I'm hoping that this view is working out better. I never wanted to put this camera in front of me because it also had a big light on it, and it would block the main camera. I wanted to block my beautiful face, but the light itself actually ceased function. So I got rid of the lampshade portion of it. So hopefully this camera angle is working out much better. Everybody's welcome to leave comments, good or bad. Love the feedback. Love to get better at doing this. Grabbing that back nut for some reason. So they say the orientation of the nuts is not important. I guess it becomes important if it's not down in the hole. That screw out for just a second. Allen key down in there. That is, it's orientated. I have a hard time with that word. The same way, the one on the other side, so wiggle it around until we get it, I guess. All right, I'm going to make that other nut drop, but yeah, that's lined up with the hole. There we go. I just had to put a little downforce on it. Push down a little bit, and then it walked in there. So it's possible that that nut wasn't cut well. The threads on that nut were a little wonky. I'm really surprised that these pieces are plastic. Usually they're brass, I think. So, all right, so that's that. So that's actually the end of 7 and 8. Step 7 and 8 put together. And next is telling us to identify the rod length. But if you've been following along with me or with the manual, there's only 2 rods left. And it now wants us to insert Z rods into the Z-axis bottom plate. So I'm going to set the X-axis off to the side and bring the Z back up. Going down to 11. Oh, I see. Okay, so 10 is actually sticking the rods in. The picture just shows them sitting next to it, but we're going to actually push them in. And let's go back to the aerial view, the sky cam. All right, so in the manual, it's actually showing it sitting like this. So you'll want the motors away from you. You'll want your X-axis with your motor in the right hand. And you're going to slowly and carefully well, that doesn't make any sense. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take box 2, 3, 4, 5 sup, and we're going to slide that up underneath here. They just have it laying flat, but there's no way you're going to get that in there. I'm going to lift this up. Head in the way. I don't know why I just looked up at the camera to see if my head was in the way. You want to go really easy with that so you don't tear the bearings up. Bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down. Yeah, because of the motor hanging down, you got to put something up underneath this or you're going to run into trouble. I just knocked all my Allen keys off the desk, I did. It's okay. So you want to get these screws all the way up to where it's hitting the trapezoid screws. And then there shouldn't be any force. It should slide on pretty easily. So, and that's your step 11. In step 12, well, I guess between the two of them, I'm not sure which, but what I'm going to do is, so I got a little rocking and rolling going on here. I'm going to begin to screw this in here. Begin to screw this in here until those lead screws are just flush with the top. Your smooth rods will stick out a little bit further, but you're just flush with the top. And then I'll move on to 12. So 12 says to place the parts on the frame. I see it doesn't say how far to push it down. Let's see if it shows in the picture. No, it doesn't, but they brought it down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it down, twisting this as evenly as I possibly can. And all that's going to be corrected later, but you still don't want to bind it up too bad. So I've gone just past the yellow warning sticker, which should leave us enough to get this top on. And then you're gonna need these two guys. And looking at them, because I had them right, but we flipped the whole frame over. So you got these two, and they're gonna come out like this. So you want to, it says ensure the smooth rod is aligned with the top surface of the X-axis top part. Which, let me tell you, that smooth rod does not go in there very gently. That is a snug fit. And it's not quite flush yet. I think I got to put that side went on a lot easier than this side. So I'm going to give this one a little, really see what I'm doing, can you? And give it a little, just a little rocking back and forth. Just until, all right, that's pretty flush. We'll see, we'll look to see where the holes were. But this gets held on by 4 of the M10. It would be the last of the screws that you have sitting there. The M3 by 10s. If we're anywhere near that hole. And again, just a little bit of threading, not making it tight. because I still gotta wiggle that down on there just a bit. Okay, that's gonna be a challenge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my long needle nose. Take that screw in from the side. And then we're going to see if we can't get that thing to thread in. Oh, beautiful. Right in the hole. We were right over the top of it. And then we can go ahead and snug those down. And I like to do a little bit of pressure on one, and then over to the other one. A little bit of pressure back to the first one. So they're both evenly tight and not crushed by superhuman force. It's a little taller underneath here. There we go. Run that down in just a bit. Bring the other one in with the needle nose pliers. I give props to anybody who builds this thing with the tools that it comes with. I mean, it's completely possible, but holy cow. A little bit of tight there, a little snug there, a little snug there, final, and final. All right, so that is the end of step 12. Roll on to, oh no, first we're going to read this warning. Check both lead screws in the upper part of the printer. They shouldn't touch the edges of the printed part. If so, release the motor holder at the bottom and slightly move it. So they're talking about right here, if your lead screw is touching plastic, like if it's rubbing on the plastic anywhere, then you need to loosen these from the back plate and twist this whichever way it needs to go to get those centered. By doing it the way I did it, if you followed along with me, if you push down on these while you're tightening them up, it should have squared it up enough where you're fine. So I've got, I won't say it's even gap around there, but it is it's not touching, and it looks like it's fairly centered. Got a pretty good ring going on right now. All right, so now it comes down to cable management. You're going to take this, you're going to put the X-axis away from you, like I have here. It's going away from you. And we're going to tie these wires up. So I'll give you a quick view over here of the wire management. All right, so you're going to take those zip ties, which I buried so nicely under this plastic bag, and it looks to me like everything is going to the motor side. So it's really, you're only tying up this one wire then. And again, I don't know if the orientation is important. It does say note position in step 14. It says note position of connecting zip tie. So absolutely drop them through. It's going to be backwards to you here, but you're gonna drop them into this plate going down with the lock block on the top. I'm not sure what that piece of a zip tie is called. I'm gonna have to look that up, but So anyway, we're going to drop those in. I'm going to take you back to the Skycam. And so we got 4 of those across there now. You're going to want to bring this wire through this notch. You see this notch here? That wire is going to come up through that notch. And then you're going to zip tie it. Once again, please don't over tighten these. It's just for cable management. It doesn't have to be super tight. You don't want to cut through the cable. No chafing. Chafing is not acceptable in many aspects of life, actually. And we're going to keep that up on. You see it's not underneath. It is up, laying on top of. Now, I have to look because this picture, it looks like maybe this one does. This one does come back at least through this last zip tie. Let me take a look at a different picture. Yep, that's exactly. Pull that up. Pull that up. I'll take you over to that. So you see that last motor, or that last zip tie gets wire from both motors. Okay. A little weird, but all right. And then you're going to want to make sure that you roll these zip ties up over the top so that the lock block portion of it is up and over the top. All right, so this is the one. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to bring this zip tie around both wires. I'll thread this up through here. So you're bringing this one up. Not sure why I have this box under here still. I'm gonna lay evenly on both motors. So I just wasn't paying attention. All right, so we're going to take the slack out of that. We're going to make sure that's up. Squeeze that zip tie in. Not too tight. And then we snip off with our flush cutters. If you don't have a pair of flush cutters, get a pair of flush cutters. I think the first time you try to cut a zip tie with the side cutters that are in the needle nose that they give you, you're going to decide you want to go out and get a pair of flush cutters because they're pretty awful. All right, so that is, yes, the end of 13. It's actually the end of 14. 14 is actually just cutting off the zip ties. And it now wants us to put this assembly onto the Y-axis, which is really exciting to me because this is when it officially looks like a printer. So, motor away from you. You're going to turn this around. This bad boy's getting heavy. Turn this around. So you got these motors towards you, this motor away from you, this motor away from you, and we're going to bring it up and over, being very careful to not pinch any wires. And you want to make sure that you get these down in here in between the washers. Make sure you don't end up with both washers on one side. And that's easier said than done. All right, getting all the wires out of the way. You're about to watch me hold this with my face. Guess I should have printed those maintenance stands everybody talked about. Of course, if it's your first printer, that's kind of difficult. Beautiful. And then this side moved. Down, coming down, and we're in. Okay. It's a little wonky yet, but and you should be able to lift the constructed printer as a whole. Grab the Y-axis assembly in your hand and slide it into the frame. Yeah, it didn't go that smoothly, but all right. So now these front M10s here, we're gonna back those all the way up to where we meet the frame. They're still a little loose, but and sneak a wrench in here. Just try to snug them down a little bit. You know, help to move that bed carriage. Don't think. Oh yeah, I can. I don't know, you guys can't even really see what I'm doing, but I am tightening these M10s back to the frame. Obviously not the side that's double nutted. We don't want to move those. I'm not going to move those. But we are tightening those down. I don't know if it says, yeah, tighten the nuts. Ensure there's a washer between a nut and the frame on both sides. Ensure the correct orientation of the Y-axis assembly. Okay, so again, motor away from you if you're doing it like this. The motor needs to be in the back. Make sure you don't slip with the wrench and bang your smooth rods. If you put dings in those smooth rods, you're gonna have a bad day. I don't know how superhuman tight these need to be, but we're making them tight enough, and look at that, it looks like a printer. Oh. All right. That is the end of step 15. It says you should be able to lift your constructed printer as a whole. So I definitely can now. We are going to roll on to 16, and this is where we start to put the belt in. Not sure. All right, it says a reference video is included at step 25 covering 16 to 24. Not sure why they didn't have us do this before we put everything together, but I'm sure they have their reasons. So regardless, here we are. Wants us to insert the flat part of the G. It's going to work pretty much the same way. They want you to jam the flat part in there, wrap it around, and then stack it, and that just doesn't work. And I'm actually going to go to the motor side first, so that I can make this side have the smallest amount of overhang, so that we don't run into the same problem that we had before, where it was running into the motor and I had to snip it off. hard to judge. Hard to judge just how small to make this loop so that it's still strong, doesn't get hung up in the motor. Alright, that's not working, so yes, gonna try it their way. Maybe it works a little better on this one, I don't know. Yeah, that actually worked all right. So, bring you up into here. I got just a little bit of belt sticking out. I would say 2 teeth, 1 tooth right at the edge of this, and then 1 extra one. I don't know if it'll settle any more than that afterwards, but regardless, that's the way it is, and I'm going to use the edge of my Allen key to push that all the way in, nice and tight, and I trust that that's not going to go anywhere. It's a pretty cool design, the whole turning the belt back on itself. Allen key in the lap. Alright, so I'm going to feed the belt out. I think I'm going to feed the belt out. Use my long needle nose. It's kind of bunching up inside of there, giving me trouble. And then we're going to go back the other way. I can turn this around and show you. Oh, did I put that on upside down? Teeth away from the double. I did. I put that on upside down. Alright guys, so that's how I'm going to teach you how not to do stuff. I literally have that belt on upside down. I think. Yeah, because if you look at the angle of this, that's not going to work. That belt has to thread through back here. So I have to take it off, flip it over. Put it back in. Oh, it's so nice too. All right. I don't want too much belt sticking out. I don't want it to go into the motor, which I don't know if it can on this side. I think I got plenty of room, so I'm actually going to leave a little more. I will double check that real quick once I put this in. Went in so nice the last time, now all of a sudden trouble. Guess maybe I need to take my pliers. Alright, you guys can't see anything, but if I turn this around to where you can see it, then I can't see it, and then I can't get built, and then this video will just go on for days of, you know, me just sitting there trying to fumble around. Not that I'm not fumbling around now, but right, she's in. And I'm going to my pliers just kind of give that a pull. That in all nice and neat. Okay, so spin that around so you can see it. All right, so the belt is now smooth side towards the top. Probably could have gone ahead somewhere in there. It would have told me. So, but now we want to rotate this up over the motor. Then we will feed it back. And then it goes through here. Through the part you can't see. Okay. Going through here. There. Back into there. Back. And then we're going to come in and wrap this guy just like we did this guy over here. So I'm going to, take it out of your view. Now, this one doesn't have the cool tensioning trick like the other one, so I'm going to kind of scroll up a little bit. That on, loop it around, pass it through. Back. Oh yeah, it does. So it's going to work the same way. We're going to actually take out this screw and this screw, and it's going to allow the motor to kick in. I haven't yet printed ABS plastic, but now that I touch printed ABS plastic, and I think I'm actually going to start working towards PETG or PETG, however you choose to say it. Only because, as I understand it, it's as strong as ABS, but it's a little bit more of a PLA characteristics as far as printing goes. Sorry, I don't mean to be so quiet, but trying to figure out how I'm going to get that in there. Grab this belt. Kind of hard because you pull on it and you pull the whole carriage. All right, I've got it sandwiched in there, but it's not around that peg. It may not. But look, I may not have enough belt in there to get it around that peg. I don't want it to be too overly tight. Let's see what they say about that. Pliers to tighten up the belt. Insert the flat part of the belt shown in the picture. Yeah. Okay. I want you to squeeze the belt into this part and then wrap it around that peg, which, you know, if you had 12 hands, might not be too bad. I'm gonna let that out just one more tooth. Oh, I was almost there. And that is in. Just in with my Allen key. I like to use the Allen key because it's not sharp on the end. It's likely to damage anything. Stab myself in the hand, whatever. Alright, let me spin that around so you can take a look at that. As though their pictures online aren't good enough, but there you go. Got a little chunk of belt hanging, a little chunk of belt hanging, and I'm going to run. Absolutely no problem with it on that side. Stringing coming off of that. Coming across. Now this side should have been the shorter side. Yes, that should have been the shorter side because that goes right into that. That goes right into that pulley. So we'll get that taken care of. All right, so I'm sure the next part is going to be tightening that motor back up. And yes, it is. Take a look right here. And rotate the motor back. If you have to apply too much force, you're experiencing troubles, rotate the motor back, repeat previous step while loosening the belt. So let's see how bad that's going to be. That's going to be good. That'll be fine. So we'll get that done. All right, so through the process of movie magic, I went ahead and took a second and fixed that belt. I put the short side on this side so that it could go into there fine and it'll go to there fine. I didn't really want to cut that belt off, so but hopefully now when I twist this motor back out, yeah, that belt should be plenty tight. I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws back in the motor to the overhead so you guys can see what I'm doing. Kind of should have like a shoulder cam or a forehead cam. I know I got enough forehead. All right, just putting those screws back in. Not crazy tight, but tight enough it is holding the motor. And so that brings us up all the way to step 25, which is the video for 16 through 24. So we're gonna skip that unless you need it. I'm good. We're gonna move on. I think that belt. You have to figure out something to do with this because it drags on the other belt. But I think tightness wise, it's good. It's not as tight as the X, or I'm sorry, the Y, but it's good. You know what? I might try a little something that I learned building the A-net, because their whole belt assembly is held on by nothing more than zip ties. But if I can punch you over to here, see what I'm doing. I just put this zip tie over the belt. And I'm not gonna go real tight, just tight enough to hold the end of that together and clip it off. And we'll see if it now, nope, it hangs. I didn't know if I could get that thing to rotate. Yeah, I rotated it up. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. It's not the long-term solution. I'm not sure what is, maybe a piece of tape. But for now, that'll hold. We're gonna roll to 26, and that is applying tension. That's way too close. Applying tension to these two screws, and it says gently tighten both screws until force is applied on both smooth rods. So I just felt that touch. All right. Maybe the belt even a little tighter. I want to see what the comments are real quick. All right, now none of the comments are just asking what that step is for. And step 27, which is always my favorite, is all done. Congratulations, you've assembled the Z-axis. And to continue the assembly and extruder in the next chapter. So there we are. Oh yeah. So that is that's step 4, I guess. Is that step 4? Yeah, that was step 4. Completely completed, and it looks like a printer now, which is pretty exciting. So next up is the extruder assembly. Watch for that in our next video. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click that little bell icon next to it. It'll give you notifications when we release new videos. If you like what we've done, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what we've done, give us a comment. You can leave us a thumbs down, but if you leave us a thumbs down, please leave us a comment and let us know what's going on. We can't fix it and make it better if you don't give us feedback. No feedback, it's going to continue to be what it is, which I guess if there's no feedback, that's good. Yeah, on behalf of myself and Tanner, who couldn't be here, as always, print on.